David mentioned it a few minutes ago, and Carrie, you just brought it up again. Operation Clean Sweep, or OCS for short. It's a hot topic for us as far as plastic pellet containment. Sam, can you speak to as far as on the stormwater side? We've got some other products for plastic pellet containment, but as far as stormwater products go, what does that look like as far as helping out the folks with Operation Clean Sweep and containing their plastic pellets?
Yep, absolutely, Mario. So Operation Clean Sweep is a consortium of plastic manufacturers that form this group. And the overriding theme is zero pellet loss. The EPA, so the Environmental Protection Agency, and the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, are both very focused on plastics getting into the environment, particularly fish, amphibians, birds even consuming the plastic shavings and pellets, becoming a really big issue, and they're really starting to target specifically plastic manufacturers. And that could be of any type. They're making corrugated piping, they're making, it could be Pepsi, Coke, right? They're making bottles, anything, any manufacturer that's making a plastic product, they generally speaking, they bring in these, as they're called, nurdles, the very small 1 to 3 millimeter plastic pellets that they melt to make that product. Now, could be shavings, could be powder. And I've been to many of these sites over the last few years. And in every single instance, there are plastic shavings and pellets and such everywhere on the lot. So Mario, as you mentioned, we do have products that can actually contain those pellets, but on the stormwater side, we make very inexpensive filters for the basin. And we also have inlet filters, because really the big issue is, yes, it's a problem if there are pellets and such on the site, right on the asphalt and the concrete. But the big problem is when they hit the stormwater, when they get down those basins, when they get through the inlet, because where's that going? It's going to a river, tributary, a stream, the ocean. So yes, you want to try to address that pellet loss, plastic loss, if you can at the source. But if you can't, let's at least catch that at the basin level. And our products, so they have 100% containment. So those pellets and shavings and such, they're not going to get into the stormwater. And that's when we see those fines happen. I know that, Carrie, you had one out west. I think the EPA was fining them like $150,000 a day for pellet loss. And they're finding like 10 pellets in the storm drain. I mean, this isn't like thousands of pounds. They're just releasing some pellets. So the fines are getting astronomical, and the solution is so inexpensive. It's so easy. Just put these in the drains and in the inlets. You're at least going to stop it. Now you can backtrack and try to address that at the source. But it's becoming a really, really big opportunity across the U.S.
Yeah. David, I'm gonna keep us on plastic pellet containment and ask you about UltraTech recently introduced these new StormGuard products, and can you speak to those StormGuard products, both in the pellet containment application as well as any others that our distributors and end users might be interested in?
Absolutely. And this is really it shows UltraTech's ability to adapt and to adjust to new things that come into the environmental realm. 5 years ago, no one ever talked about Operation Clean Sweep or microplastics or anything like that. Like Carrie said, it was strictly sediment and mostly hydrocarbons and heavy metals. So it's really been cool to watch UltraTech jump in and come up with solutions, not just within the protection, but across the board with some of our other products. But this is worldwide. It's a worldwide push. So the thing that's really cool is we have come up with a whole new line just to go attack the ability to capture, like Sam mentioned, very small micron particle size, sometimes powders or floating nurdles. The other thing that a lot of our manufacturing facilities are dealing with, it typically happens in loading and offloading of the pellets or the nurdles or whatever they're using, but wind erosion can be a factor. So even if it's not happening with a direct spill on site there, wind can pick up these small little pieces and carry them to a neighboring facility, and then they go down the drain over there. So the big thing is making sure, this is the last line of defense typically. When everything else fails on a site, the maintenance guy forgot to get that last little pile up that dropped out of the train car over in the corner, and then the rain comes on Saturday and washes it all down the drain. So we consider the last line of defense for these facilities, and like Carrie mentioned, regulatory agencies don't care. They don't, if your pellets, they will trace it back to your facility. And then you're in the news not for making the newest widget or the newest cooler that bears can't get into. You're in the news because you polluted the Chesapeake Bay and on and on to the ocean. It's a much bigger issue that you're in the news for. So the ability for us to adapt without these customers having major infrastructure changes to their facility. And when we say that, that's them taking a massive section of their real estate, digging up existing asphalt or concrete and putting in huge, basically their own stormwater treatment plant. What we allow them to do is retrofit with their existing infrastructure, place these filters in existing structures, and then the same person that's maintaining a lot of that facility can go and maintain these filters. And like Carrie said, from a distributor aspect, the recurring revenue is it's just a very solid stream of however often these filters need to be replaced and renewed. The actual frames themselves are going to be there, but it's almost like the razor blade theory. They keep buying the new filters. So great revenue stream.
Why would I choose one of the StormGuard products versus, say, a Drain Guard or one of the other, shall we say, less expensive options? Why would I choose one over the other?
So there's a couple thought processes there, Mario, and that's a great question. I mean, if there's a small welding shop that doesn't have a budget, let's say for or a small, let's say a small manufacturing facility that doesn't have a budget to spend maybe $2,500 a drain, their approach may be to buy the less expensive Drain Guard, which we can manufacture to do the same kind of type of filtration needed, but it's more of a disposable option. You can replace them every 3 to 5, 6 months, whatever. It's not going to break the budget up front. Whereas let's say you're a larger facility, like a pipe manufacturing company that this stuff is cranking out every single day. You're going to want to buy the what I would call the Cadillac that we offer. And yes, that's going to be made out of aircraft grade aluminum. I mean, when you get this thing, you're like, wow, it's going to be here for a while. And know that you invested in something that's part of your infrastructure, and that it's not going anywhere. So there's kind of two trains of thought there. And
Sure.
Really it's about what they can afford. A lot of times, I think Carrie, for that one project, when he first proposed it, they had to go back and punt it till the next year and put it in the budget, if I'm correct. Is that right, Carrie? That happens quite often because it's a big spend. If they have 60 inlets, that can run it up a little bit.
Sure.
So.
Well, it's also, I'd add, David, if we're not dealing with the plastic pellets and we're dealing with smaller, right, shavings, perhaps even a powder that's a much smaller micron level, that's where that StormGuard's going to come into play, right? Because that's
right.
it's not going to be necessarily compatible with the Drain Guard, right? It's just the opening size is a little larger.
Yeah, just depending on what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.